Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today is going to be a slightly different format than you're used to, as it's just going to be me and you. At the moment, I'm having some technical difficulties with the software that I use for the podcast, so it's put me behind on my production schedule a little bit. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to share with you a slightly different style of episode and go through a load of insights and lessons and stuff that I've learned about myself via various means, including this podcast and others. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one is, what if it were the last time? This I heard Sam Harris talking about, and it's basically looking at any situation in your life, like you can do it right now, I could do it now, you could do it now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. That's the beauty of it. You can do it all the time. And ask yourself, what if this were the last time? What if this was the last podcast episode I recorded? What if this was the last time I'm going to drive to work with this person? What if it were my last day in work? What if this was the last time I was going to see a certain family member or friend? I think it's a really beautiful reframe, not even reframe, but way to just bring you into the present, to really appreciate that person. Because how many times have we, throughout our life, there is one day that's going to be the last time that you do something and it just goes. And I think it's important to respect the situation enough with the sort of lens that you would look back on it from. Think about your childhood and teenage memories and stuff like that, and go, wow, like there was a last time that I went out on my BMX with my mates, or there was a last time that I did fill in the blank thing. So whatever you're doing, try and do that now and again. It's been really useful for me to sort of get me in the zone, especially with podcasts as well. And allows you to be sort of more naturally grateful. The next one is more of a productivity thing. So it's something that I've developed. It might be a thing elsewhere, but I've kind of pretty sure I came up with myself. And I'm calling it cyclic working. And if you are feeling overwhelmed with projects, like people say that you shouldn't multitask, it's a bad idea to multitask. And yes, like if you need to do some like focused work on a project that needs that kind of attention, yes. But if you're in the situation where you're like, oh my God, I've got to do this, haven't done that, I haven't spoken to this client, I've got to do this, and then you just can't do it. I mean, obviously there are different options. You go, right, well, I can just subtract and just not do the thing, or you can implement this thing that I do, which I'm calling cyclic working. And what you do, it's a bit like circuit training in the gym. So you go around from like different stations, different exercise stations. It's kind of like that, but you just do it with various projects you've got to do. And I wouldn't necessarily do it on like a task. And what you would do is you would take all those various sort of main headline projects. It might be a client name, it might be something to do with your house or whatever, and then put them into like a timer, and then just spend 10 minutes on each one, or whatever, like however much time you've got. Let's say you've got 90 minutes and there are like 4 to 5 things that you need to do. Let's say 9 things, it's easier. If it's 9 minutes, and then just go, I'm going to do 10 minutes on each of those things, and then I'm going to stop. So within that 10 minutes, how much can I get done on that project? What it really does is it focuses your mind on like cutting out all the bullshit, like rather than like spending loads of time on strategizing and looking at all the different ways or whatever. You can go, right, I've got 10 minutes. What can I do to push this project forward as far as possible within the next 10 minutes? I wouldn't do it all the time, but perhaps like once a week, or like a couple of times a week, or at a certain time, just to sort of, it allows you to just like touch lots of different projects and kind of keep everything going. And this doesn't have to be like, if you're in like business or anything like that, it could be do with like painting a wall, or reaching out to a friend, nurturing family relationships, whatever, like those all could be projects, and just spend 10 minutes on them, or 5 minutes or whatever. Like if you have 60 minutes and you've got 12 projects to go through, you could do 5 minutes on each and still get something done. Maybe you just send an email to get the ball rolling. So that's one. You can, there's loads of apps out there. I use one for Android. It might be on iPhone as well. It's called Seconds. It's literally just called Seconds. It's proper basic. You can just make lots of custom timers. So you go in, set a custom timer, and then instead of an exercise, you just name it the project or task. So that's that one. The next one is to do with gaining distance on your emotions. How many times have we been in a bit of a rut with ourselves, and more often than not, a third person's or a second person from the third person, a second person's perspective will allow you to see it from a different lens, and kind of, because they're not stuck in that emotion, they have a better vantage point to be able to see a blind spot. Now, I heard this first from David Goggins, and he was talking about WhatsApping yourself, and it's really, really good. So if you are in a bit of a rut, you're in a bit of a funk, like you can't get out of bed in the morning, you can't get off the sofa, or whatever it is, if it's something where you're just wanting a little bit of distance on a situation, then you can literally WhatsApp yourself. More effective, I would imagine. Well, this is what I do. I voice note myself. So you can then send a little voice note to Jason, and it might be, "Oh, I'm feeling down today. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm tired," whatever it might be. And then stop it, and then send it, and then I listen back, and then I'm like, and it just lights up this other version of me where I voice note back, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you on about?" Like, "What's up with you? Like, just get to the gym. Like, you'll be fine. You'll absolutely love it once you get going, or just get out of bed. Like, what are you doing?" So yeah, that's a really good one. I would highly recommend it, and I don't use it enough, to be honest, but that's a really good one. Now, the next one is kind of similar, but it's a bit more kind of I don't know, like spiritual. But essentially, the common thread here between these last two ones is that we always have the answer within us. Like we have wisdom. All of us have wisdom that we've picked up, some good, some bad, but mostly we have it inside us. We have the answer inside us all the time. How many times has a friend come to you and you're able to help them with the situation? So we can do that to ourselves. And this one is a really beautiful one, and like something, again, I'm sure someone else has come up with it, but I just kind of came up with it myself. And if you have a situation you're going through, a difficult period at work, in a relationship, and maybe you don't have anyone to talk to, or you just don't feel like talking to anyone. Can you tell I spend a lot of time on my own, by the way? And what you can do is kind of sit there, and you might have a meditation practice already, so it's nice if you're doing it at the end of it, or you can just sit, close your eyes, or open them, doesn't really matter, and bring in people whose advice that you would want. And I've done this with family members who have passed. I've done this with I think I sort of bring my nana into the fold and call on them for advice, and it's it's really beautiful, and just be like, "Okay, I've got this issue, nana," da, 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 da. And then the response comes back, because I mean, who knows? Maybe there's something more otherworldly going on, but we knew those people so well and the sort of advice they would give us, which live within inside us anyways, so we can call upon that. And it's kind of like a nice way to do it. And you can just sort of hear like the advice coming back, and like it might be like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, this and that. Like so again, allows you that little bit of distance. That's a good one. The next one comes from my second conversation with Joey Weber, and he is the equanimity guy. If you haven't heard of that before, go and listen to one of the episodes now. And the one that hit me the most was when we were talking about loneliness. I opened up to Joey about a certain point in time during the week, usually a Saturday afternoon after the week's been and everything has kind of gone, and I would feel a bit lonely. And he was saying, sounds like your body needs rest. It's not loneliness. You're not objectively lonely. Like, what does that even mean? And I suppose it's like a wider point of how we put labels on things, and they're like cultural, pre-programmed kind of ways of interpreting how we feel. But what happens is that they can work against us and not in our favor. So in that situation, he was like, it just sounds like you're tired. It's not loneliness. Take the thing away from it, the name. Like, just be present with your body, the emotions. How am I feeling? Like, maybe I'm tired. And just kind of let go. And that's been a really helpful one for me. This next one came to me when I was talking to Jessica De Silva, who is the attachment expert. When I first started the podcast, one of the things that I really wanted to do was talk to someone about attachment theory. And I always had this thought of, is it possible, if you have an anxious attachment or an avoidant attachment, to become secure? Or is it just set for life? Like, is it really possible? And essentially, yes, it is possible. We can all work towards a secure center, whichever end of the spectrum that we're on. And I was kind of trying to like dig in, like, you know, how do we do it if it's pre-programmed? And basically, I said it's like learning 1,000 different jujitsu moves. Like, we're going to be presented with all of these different situations in our life. It may be a girl's not responded to you, or a girl's not responded to you on WhatsApp, or left you on red, or I feel like quite often, most of the times, it's over text, because that's how we operate in the world a lot these days. Most of it is through text and stuff. But like, learning how to respond to those different situations, looking at how you've responded in the past, and then going, how would a secure person respond? Like, would a secure person go, oh, she doesn't like me, she's speaking to someone else, or whatever? Or would a secure person say, maybe she's busy, maybe she's making a tea? So we can learn this thing, and it's about like over and over again, like prompting yourself. Like, if you're someone who suffers with attachment issues, I feel like most of us kind of do in one way or the other, like constantly like prompting, how would a secure person respond? How would secure me respond to this situation? Allow a little bit of space, like get yourself out of the emotion and take like a wider view, 1,000-foot view. Maybe use the WhatsApp thing to back and forth, whatever, so you can see how these things all interplay. But if you want to know more about attachment, check out the episode with Jessica De Silva. A big theme over the last few months has been authenticity, and it's been showing up everywhere, to the point where one week it probably got a little bit out of hand, and I didn't record the intro to the podcast in the same way, because I thought that I was wearing a mask. And yeah, you can go too far with these things, and there's always got to be a balance. But am I being authentic? Am I being Jason? and like really drilling into it and like looking at how you respond to things. And quite an interesting petri dish for this kind of thing. Once again, it's the device and it's WhatsApp groups. And I have found that a few things, like in the past, I would either spend 10 to 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes crafting a perfect witty response in a WhatsApp group and then deleting it and then going, oh, I don't know if I should say that, I want to be liked, or all the rest of it. Or just totally avoiding the situation, leaving WhatsApp groups. Oh, I don't do WhatsApp groups because they cause me anxiety. And that was me thinking that I was being like secure and here's my boundary. But it's like, well, what would a secure person do? Would they probably just stay in the WhatsApp group and just have a bit of a laugh? Yes. So what I've tried to do is, if I want to say something, even if it's not necessarily offensive, but like if it's a little bit kind of like, oh, like what will people think of that? I'll just fucking send it. And surprise, surprise, quite a lot of the time, no one laughs at that shit. But like that becomes a good practice in itself. Like not getting the validation back. We're all like the laughy faces all the time and kind of just like, but knowing that I'm being 100% me. And if I think of something like silly that probably I end up finding funny, I'm still going to put it because that's me being me. And then what happens is, now and again, like you'll say something and people do find it funny or interesting or whatever. But it's like detaching from that need for validation and have it as just a nice to have, because it is nice to have, but we don't need it. And that's what we should be working towards. So cut the filter. If you think of something, just say it. Don't worry about the consequences. But don't get yourself cancelled or thrown out of a social group. So the next one is around boundary setting and communicating our needs. And basically, it doesn't need to be difficult. So we hear a lot about setting boundaries and communicating our needs to our family members, to our partner, to our friends, and all the rest of it. And it can feel daunting because it seems like all formal, and it's like you feel like, oh, I've got to sit down on a Sunday afternoon and write down my fucking boundaries, and then like knock on my mum's door and like hand her a letter and sit down and go whatever it may be. And it's like, that's great. Like if you want to do that and be like really detailed and stuff like that, probably is quite good to do some reflective time. But if you're a busy person, you can communicate it pretty fast. And this is something I've been trying to do more often because I was sort of stuck in a paralysis mode for quite some time about certain relationships in my life. And I was like, I'm going to have to ring them up and say, oh, we need them, we need to sit down. Can I come around for a coffee? Like, fucking hell. Like, I'm going to have to communicate all my needs. And I was like, well, what if I just drew a line in this imaginary sand here and was like, from now on, I'm just going to communicate my needs better. And if that's over WhatsApp, other messaging platforms are available. If it's just over WhatsApp, then fine. But get it done. Like, don't let perfection like allow you to sort of kick that can down the road. So situation comes up where you feel a certain way, you can just message this person saying, when you didn't text me back last night, felt like you might have been in a mood with me. It might just be me, but that's a good one as well. Like, it's probably just me. Like, it is usually them, by the way. But like, you can say it's probably just me. But it made me feel this way, and I just wanted to check like everything's okay. And then more often than not, like they come back, oh no, don't be daft or whatever. But like you've communicated your needs. Like I felt this way when you did X, and yeah. So that's a good one. The next one is like kind of related, and it's that most of the time, difficult conversations aren't even difficult. So there may be a situation where just sending a WhatsApp out is not sufficient, and you actually like need to pick up the phone or pop round for a conversation with this person. And basically, how many times do we like build it up in our head where it's like it's going to be this big deal? More often than not, it's like so straightforward and actually ends up being like a beautiful opportunity to connect with this person. I don't ever remember having to have one of those difficult conversations and it not ending in like a plus with that person. Like it always seems to like I think it shows a lot of respect that you want to sit down with that person or talk to them and be open. So yeah, most of the time it's not difficult. So get the conversation. This next one came from my conversation with Persia Lawson, and we were talking about dating and how I was showing up and how I was not enjoying it. And basically, what she said to me is like what my end goal was, what I pictured, and I had this thing of like I'm in my garden at the barbecue and there's kids running around and stuff like that. That's kind of like my dream goal. And she was like, how would that guy show up like in his dating life? And it was just like a real, and you can use it for like so many different things. Like maybe if it's like a place you want to get to in the future in your career or whatever, like, and like how would that person be feeling now? Like how can you show up like that? But specifically, I think it works best in dating. I've always done the best on dating apps when I've gone into it already feeling like the person like that I want to be. And I guess it goes back to this authenticity thing, but also it's like there's like a kind of sort of addictive element that goes in here. So like I'm feeling shit, so I need to do X thing. And I've done that before. Like I'm feeling shit and down, so I'm going to sign up for Tinder and I'm going to start talking to lasses. Don't get me wrong, like sometimes that goes okay, but more often than not, you're not on your best form. You've not got like that much to say. But if you like are already feeling confident and already feeling like you've got something to offer the world and you go onto a dating app, then you're just going to like be so much better. I know for me, like I'm just so much more confident. Everything just seems easy. And yeah, so that's something I'm trying to deploy at the moment, and seems to be working. The next one is 99% of the time, it's them. Any situation, difficult conversation that you're having with someone, an interaction, could be dating. Like most of this is kind of like coming from dating, but it's got like an attachment lens on it. But most of the time, it's them. Like rather than going, this person's been like this with me or whatever. It's this. It's a judgment. It's a value judgment on me. I'm not good enough. Blah 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 blah. Like most of the time, unless you're a complete dick, like it's them. Like they got their shit going on. I'll give you an example. I was talking to this girl, and I knew weirdly because I'd actually found out through an attachment quiz because we both did one while we were talking, and she's like disorganized, fearful, avoidant type, which is just kind of like whoa, and she would just go like days without responding and stuff, and like my default approach would be to kind of like, oh, it's because of me, like I'm not good enough, like this is what happens when I start talking to people, I get hurt, da 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 da. But it's like that's literally her shit. Like it's got nothing to do with me. Like all right, maybe like she didn't fancy me that much, but who cares? Like that's totally on them, because if that person was secure and didn't fancy me, they'd just be like, hey, this isn't working. So like, it doesn't matter, does it? And just remember, like, whether it's friends or like maybe your mate's been a dickhead or whatever, and like your like tendency might be to like worry about your own thing. Obviously, like, check yourself, but just remember that most of the time it's the other person if you've got your shit together. This next one is harnessing negative and positive visualization. So what you can do is, it's good for motivation, and you may have a meditation practice, but at the end of my meditation practice, I have like a few things that I run through, and I use this custom timer that I mentioned before. So what I'll do is I'll have like a few things that I'll run through, that it just like reads out loud for me. So it might be, I can use it in productivity as well. It's like, what's the most important task today? All right, what are two less important tasks? Stuff like that. But one of the ones that I use is this negative and positive visualization. So if you've got something that you need to do, a big project that you're getting on with, like maybe you need to reflect on, like, how will I feel if I don't do that thing, and like feel that pain, and then that will get you into like the mind for like, fucking hell, I'm going to do it, and vice versa. But you might need it the other way. How will I feel once I've completed the activity? And put yourself in that frame of mind. So you'll need to work out for yourself which one it needs to be. I tend to just like switch them up. Like if one's not working, I'll go negative. If the negative's not working, I'll go positive. And that's something that's a really useful tool. And you can literally just do it for like 1 minute per thing. So I have a couple that I do. One of them is for the podcast, just to keep me motivated to keep on doing this, talking to a camera in a room. The next one is from he's a poet called David White, and I heard him on a podcast, and he basically said, how can you be the ancestor of your future happiness? How can you be the ancestor of your future happiness? And basically it's just like, we all want to look back and be proud of that version of ourselves. Like, what are the things, like, we can all look back on times in our lives. Maybe you did a marathon, maybe you climbed up a mountain for the first time, maybe you lost a load of weight, maybe you put a load of weight on, whatever it may be. Maybe you wrote a book, maybe you handed in your dissertation, all these kind of things that we're proud of. Like, how can you be doing that now? So what would that version of you be doing now? Like, would he be watching telly on Netflix and completely wasting the weekend? Or would he or she be doing productive things, getting to the gym, working on an important project, recording a podcast, whatever it may be? So yeah, how can you be the ancestor of your future happiness? Really good one. Think about how you will look back. Will you be proud of what you were doing? Next one is a little bit of a kind of productivity one, kind of links into some of the other ones that we were talking about before. But it's just, can I do 10 minutes? Do I have 10 minutes to do a certain thing? It could be tidying the house. It could be a project that you need to do, and you just can't get started on it for some reason. You've got writer's block or any of that sort of thing. And it's just, can I do 10 minutes, or can I do 5 minutes? Can I do 1 minute? Whatever it is. I mean, if you can do an hour, great. But more often than not, if you've got an issue with getting motivated, the idea of doing an hour on a certain task is too much. So think about what would work for you. 10 minutes tends to be about right for me. And I'll go, right, can I do 10 minutes tidying the kitchen? Yeah, I can do that. So go into my phone, 10-minute timer, and then I'll like rush to be like, right, see how much I can get done. And then I'm going to sit on my ass and I'm going to watch telly afterwards. And then, surprise, surprise, the timer goes off 10 minutes in. and I've already got moving, and I've already got that momentum, and then I end up cleaning the whole fucking house and like having a good rest of the day. So that's a really good one. And you can do it for like the gym. Like if you don't want to go to the gym, what if I just went for 10 minutes, get my stuff on, and I go lift weights for 10 minutes, or I'll go for a run for 10 minutes. And by the time you get there, then you'll probably just stay anyways. But allow yourself, if you really want, to just do the 10 minutes, and that's fine as well. And this last one is around advice and being a good listener and a good friend. So if someone comes to you with a problem, they say, I just really need to talk to you about something. I've got this issue. It might be a financial issue, or it might be an issue with a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be. We hear a lot like girls just want to be listened to, boys want solutions, or you sometimes hear it's just no one wants a solution. Hear that one a lot, but I'm not sure that's true. And just ask them what they want. Like, listen to them and say, would you like me to come up with would you like a solution, or do you just want me to listen? Like, just so I know. Like, and someone did this to me once, a friend of mine, and she was like, and she just went, do you want me to listen, or do you want a solution? And I was like, oh. And I was like, both. Both. And yeah, and it was awesome because like, how many times as well has someone started giving you a solution, but like, fuck off, I don't want the solution. Like, I literally just wanted to whine at you. But maybe by asking that, it actually like activates a different part of the brain, and we go, yeah, I do want a solution. Who knows? But yeah, so that is a good one. So if I come to you with a problem, make sure you ask me which version I would like. All right, so that's everything. I've gone through all of the notes I had. I hope that you enjoyed that and are able to implement some of it in your own life. I'm not an expert. This is just stuff I've written down and some stuff that I've implemented. So perhaps you can take something from it. So thank you so much for watching, for listening. Thank you to all of you who tune in every week. I know who you are, most of you. And I really do appreciate it. If this is your first time listening, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Leave me a review. That would be really nice. I haven't had a review in a while on Spotify or Apple, wherever it is you're doing your podcasts. Leave us a comment, like maybe like, or drop me a follow on Instagram. Whatever. I've given you way too many options here. The next solo episode will be how to not give someone too many things to do and paralyze them with choice. But yeah, if you could just do all that stuff, that'd be great. But yeah, leave us a comment. Let us know if you've implemented some of these, which are your favorites. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching.